Hi, my name is Orit Esther Riter. I'm the author of the Turnaround book series, speaker and writer at thedailydoseofemuna.com, and the founder and director of the Emuna Energy Institute, a place where we learn Jewish holistic programs to help ourselves heal. And I'd like to explain to you today a little bit about this beautiful, unique therapy, one-on-one or Emuna Energy private therapy. I want to explain to you how it works, what's expected, what is the process, because it is a very special and specific process. And I want you to be able to familiarize yourself what it's all about. I anticipate some of the questions that you probably have, and in putting together this clip, I hope to be able to address some of those for you. So let me first explain to you how the system works. Basically, through various different techniques that I've learned, and also through the power of intention, I'm able to connect to your energy body. What that means is that I get a sense of some of the mechanisms that are sort of functioning inside your subconscious mind, some of the programming, the conditioning. I can tap into some of your traumas, your fears, what's going on in the chemical body, some of those emotions that seem to be spilling forth. Energy as a whole, in doing so, energy is a field of information. It holds within it a blueprint within the energy body. There's a blueprint of your actual chemical body. And a lot of what is going on inside your body, what you think, what you feel, even some of the things that you do, is actually captured in this beautiful field of information, this ball of light around you. And like I said again, there's an ability to sort of connect to those places and to be able to sense where the places are that are out of balance. Now, many of us are familiar with the fact that we have things that are holding us back, but we're not quite sure. We don't know how we even got to that place of feeling out of balance. And a lot of times we just need help. We need guidance. We need information about trying to understand where the core issues are, where those limiting beliefs came in, where did it sort of start filtering into our lives, this out of state of feeling out of our wellness state, right? Now, the process of healing is a very beautiful process, because essentially, in doing this work, you're being nurtured gently back into your original state of wellness. As the shavings of blockages, one by one, with each preceding session, gets sort of carved away, the body naturally gravitates to its state of restoration, of healing, of its innate natural place. And, you know, sometimes that place was sort of brought out of balance, not even just because of things that we went through as children, but sometimes it's brought out of place just due to history dynamics of the family, different inheritances, different ways that consciousness was sort of brought into our pipeline through hereditary ancestors that we have acquired also throughout generations. It essentially, our healing mechanism, because we are transmitters and we're receivers of information, many times we get entangled with other people's energies, and the therapy sessions allow some of that mapping of what got sort of interwoven in between and what has brought us out of our natural state of wellness. So a lot of the time is spent in trying to really figure out where this process has led you and where it began. And what ends up happening is you, the client, will sense a process of knowingness, of awareness, of mindfulness, and with that comes a tremendous amount of acceptance. So it's really allowing for those blockages to sort of be pulled away slowly, very gentle process, but yet intense enough that you will feel, God willing, the shifts. And in doing so, the innate restoration system that God has given to each and every one of us will begin to function at its optimal level, God willing. Again, that's the hope, that's the prayer, and that's the intention. And also with that, a very deep awareness will begin to arise inside of you. There'll be a new profound energy, God willing, of zest, of enthusiasm, of motivation. That is the hope, that is the intention, that is what we would like to see happen. So let's walk through a little bit of the process of really how does it begin? Because after all, I haven't met you. Most of my clients I don't meet personally, some I do. But chances are I haven't met you personally. I haven't maybe even seen your picture. And yet I'm going to ask you, as I'm going to mention right now, for a couple of bits of pieces of information that's going to help me, that's going to serve as my medium to be able to help you during the energy sessions that I do for you. So how does it begin? Okay, so it begins where I send you a link on Google Docs where I ask you to fill out a questionnaire. And in the questionnaire, it's pretty in-depth. I'm going to ask you for your current information. Some of it is basic birth date and name and who you're named after and such. Then we're going to go a little bit into the family status, a little bit of your current family tree, even past family tree. I'm going to want to get to know a little bit of the information that you are aware of consciously in terms of your childhood, what's been going on. Maybe sometimes you want to make mention, hopefully you want to make mention of some of the traumas. What's on your mind? What are some of the worries? What are some of the anxieties and fears that pop up into your mind space? What are some of the limiting beliefs that you feel are dictating, where you are right now? And I'll tell you from past experience that so many of my clients have said to me that just by answering the questionnaire, they feel like the healing energies and juices have begun to really flow throughout their body. There's a certain sense of awareness, and the healing energies from the mindfulness are already beginning to stir within them, and they're already feeling lighter just from answering the questions. At the latter part of the questions, I'm going to ask you to choose some gemstones. So I'm certified in gemstone and mineral therapy, as well as I do some numerology, which is also going to be mentioned inside further as I begin to explain the process. But in doing gemstone and mineral therapy, through choice gemstones that you choose, that I'm going to ask you to choose in the questionnaire, I'm going to get to a little bit more in-depth information about you. There's a reason why we're attracted to certain gemstones. It's used only for analysis purposes. In other words, I'm not going to necessarily ask you to buy any of them, although I may relate to them, I may use them in the energy session, I may actually refer to them in terms of some energy remedies that I may suggest to you, or even wearing certain gemstones as jewelry, or to hold or to put into your pillowcase and such. However, really from the perspective of the questionnaire, it's really for the analysis purposes, because it will tell a story. It will make more information available for me, and I'm going to be able to just get a little bit deeper into understanding what's really going on. In addition to that, after you finish the rest of the questions on the questionnaire, and like I said, it is pretty much in depth, but it's important. It's important for you, and it's important for me. I'm going to ask you to sign the consent form on the last page and send the questionnaire back to me either through the link on the Google Docs, or you could just take a picture of it and send it back to me together with a recent photo and the signed consent form. Now, we may or may not have any formal contact up until then and from that point forward, and that's okay. I don't need to necessarily either speak to you even on the phone or see you. The sessions are not generally, for the most part, are not run live. The day the session is actually scheduled, you continue on with your day. I'm just going to, once I get all that information, the photo, the questionnaire, and the consent form, I'm going to go ahead and schedule it into my schedule on the first available date. On the day of the session, like I said, you just go ahead and go about your day. I don't need to, have you available. I don't know what time of the day it's going to be. I just know it's going to be during that day, that day that it's being scheduled for. It could be in the morning, could be at night. But what's going to happen is either that day of the scheduled session or maximum the following day, you will get a voice note from me. The voice note will be recorded, And in that, you're going to get all the in-depth findings of what was found in the session, how I began, what was found, what was infused, what was cleared, what kind of maybe family history was unraveled from it. And it's all recorded. It's going to be very clearly laid out for you. It's quite an intense piece of information, and it's great for you that it's recorded, because I know you're going to need to listen to it more than once. And in fact, so many of my clients have said to me that what's wonderful about the recordings is they keep it. And if they go through the session series, which I'll get to in a moment, then a lot of times they even refer back to how the first session report sounded, and they could chart their progression and the process and the journeying of their transformation, which is really unvaluable. It's really very beautiful. But as a whole, again, I don't need to necessarily speak to you or discuss with you anything. Like I said, you just go about your day, and you don't need to make yourself available. I just send you the voice note, and again, that could be through email or WhatsApp. Will obviously depend on how you choose to be communicated to. And again, the wonderful idea about that is that you get to really chart and go back to it and retrieve the information for yourself again. As far as your response level to the voice note, so first of all, I ask that all my clients be in touch with me on a regular basis, whether they do one session or if they do the series. Then I do ask for my clients on a regular basis to send me a short voice note or a text or an email, just to tell me how they're doing 24 hours to 48 hours after certainly the first or second sessions, because I'd like to know. I want to know. I'm very much attuned to how my clients are doing. I follow up with them, and it is a very comprehensive service and a very personal service. So I want to make myself available for you, and I can't even make myself available for a phone call in the event that it's needed. Most of the times it's not, because we're able to communicate very well through voice notes and possibly text. But as a whole, when you listen to the voice note, keep an open space in mind, because it could very well be that you consciously may not be able to relate to all the information that's being told to you on the recording. What that means is because I'm functioning from an energy space, which is much more attuned to your subconscious mind, there are things that are tucked away, things that we don't necessarily want to have access to in terms of consciousness. And so the energy session sort of stirs the cup around, and so what was underneath begins to rise up. Now what that means is that initially you may not be very aware or attuned, and you may even say to me, hey, Orit Esther, I really can't relate to that age you told me, or that family member that you mentioned. I don't even know that family member. I don't even know who he or she is. However, remember that I'm dealing with the energy body, which is a field of information that holds the blueprint of mainly your subconscious mind and things that you're not aware of. And the energy body is a field of a tremendous amount of information that, like I said again, we're not necessarily in tune with at all times. So just keep that in mind. Maybe you might even experience some aha moments following the session, which is actually quite common amongst my clients. A lot of them will say to me at one point or another, I suddenly realized what you were referring to at the age of 18. It suddenly makes sense to me. But just remember that also some of those things might be an inherited consciousness from a family tree, so you may not be able to relate to it. I trust enough in the process that even if you don't relate to it, it doesn't mean that it's not real. It just means that maybe it's just something that only I was able to tap into, and God willing, help you process. And if you know it or you don't know it, thank God, due to past experiences and the beautiful referral and the success of past sessions, I feel like the process is noteworthy, and it is very, very helpful. So again, remember, there is that stirring of energies, and things that you may not have even been aware of will now become part of your reality and will pass through with, God willing, very little side effects. However, if we're talking about side effects, I do need to mention that sometimes, in very rare occasions, but it could happen certainly the first or second sessions, if you choose to do the series, sometimes it may happen that you will have what we call a side effect. And a side effect means that in the process of detoxing some of those subconscious programmings that you've been accustomed to function out of, and that has been to some degree, to a large degree, maybe even limiting and causing some of the ailments through which you actually came to do the session from the get-go. You might find that there is a level of resistance, and you might find that in removing that, in taking that away and carving that away, there is a level of resistance that could cause what we call a descent, as Hasidic masters teach us, a descent for the purpose of ascent. So we might have to take one step backwards to go 2 steps forward, but God willing, we do see that movement forward. But in that event, I'm available, and that's why it's important, certainly for the first or second session, to be in touch with me so that I can know your progress, I can know your state, and I can even send what we call first aid /SOS, quick little alignments after the sessions in the event that there are side effects, and it usually passes anyway, very quickly, and then you're left with a positive infusion of beautiful, beautiful energy. Now, in addition to sending you the session report, I'm also going to send you what I call homework. So I'm not your teacher, but I would like to be someone who you can rely on for a level of guidance. And to help you help yourself, I do advise you to take an active part in your healing process. And what that means is I'm going to make some suggestions, audio meditations, maybe some reading, some positive affirmations to repeat, maybe some tapping. Maybe I'm going to ask you to press on certain acupressure points. Maybe I'm going to ask you to, say some Tehillim. These things come to me as far as what would help you help yourself throughout the process, because it really is a joint effort. Now, in addition to that, after you finish this first initial session, which is a consultation, but it's really not. It's not just an initial analysis and consultation as far as what I think you need. It really is an actual deep energy session and clearing. However, many people don't need only one session. For most of us, we need a series. A series means that after the initial session, many times people need anywhere between 3 to 5 sessions, which is called a series. Some people need more than one series. Some people need more than 3 to 5 sessions in a series. I will obviously get back to you with that information after the first session. And here you're free to obviously choose whether or not you want to book the entire series or not. And then after the series, I suggest waiting for a week or 2 in between each of the series, because I'd like to give the energy body a rest to integrate all of that new holistic healing that is coming through, that is self-innate, and that's coming through from within you to yourself. We want to make sure that that's fully integrated. We want to be able to see what's missing, what needs to be adhered to. So there is going to be that break in between the series. And again, some people don't need more than one series and then just one follow-up, because generally what I suggest is we do the first session, the series, we wait a week or 2, do a follow-up /maintenance session, and then some people that's enough for them. And for some people, I suggest long-term maintenance, where maybe once every 3 weeks or 4 weeks, they should continue to do the energy work to sort of keep them up. So obviously, this is all up to the discretion of what comes out from the session itself, and it's your choice, of course, to choose how you'd like to proceed further. In the event that you do choose to go with the series after the first session, included in the cost of the sessions, I will also send to you a bottle of energy remedy. And in that bottle, first of all, it is water-based, and what it has infused in that water-based remedy are gemstone frequencies, some of which are the gemstones that you actually chose on the questionnaire, sometimes not, but it's basically a cocktail of different frequencies that will help process the energy clearing that is done for you throughout the series. And God willing, that will be very, very helpful for you, because it will help tangibly put into practice that which I am doing distant and energetically for you. So one of the questions that comes up in trying to foresee some of the questions that you might have is, I'm asked, Orit Esther, okay, so God willing, what can I expect from these sessions? I mean, if I'm coming to you with a backache, if I'm coming to you with need of direction in regards to, my home, finding my soulmate, resolving an illness or a certain belief that, has been holding me back for a long time. What can I expect? So God willing, I have found that with the majority of my clients, they have experienced a tremendous amount of clarity. They've experienced a better sense of being able to cope with the issues at hand. They've experienced a greater level of acceptance, of empowerment, of overall wellness. They feel more lighter. They feel like they have more oomph to sort of move on in the direction of life. They feel like they're able to be in more harmony with their actual issues that they're dealing with. So for instance, if they're dealing with an issue that's ongoing, that issue won't be weighing them back, being so taxing on them. They'll feel like they can overall live with it with a lot less of this heaviness, right? There's a new perspective. There's a new vantage point. There's maybe even a sense of, wow, I can actually grow from this. And there's certainly a tremendous amount of hope that is infused into knowing and being more aware of also some of the ties and the core reasons of how this even began. Now, in the process, I know you might even have questions that will arise. So again, we're in touch through voice note, through text, but I just want to make sure that you know that in the event that you do need to be in touch with me, if you do need to find out a little bit more information, we could possibly also schedule a phone conversation as well. Now, in addition to the series being basically energy-based, where I'm doing distant energy therapy for you, if you do go ahead and schedule the series, within the series, I'm also going to integrate into that process in some of those sessions in the series some numerology. I might even ask that one of the sessions we do an online, either Zoom or Skype session where it's actually in view, or we might actually do a phone session where I might offer you some guided imagery, some somatic exercises, but it'll be a lot of deep soul talking, of conscious awareness to sort of help bring the process through, which I find has been really something exceptional in terms of really helping the process through. So that is another beautiful process, part of the process of the energy work as well in terms of the series. Now, as far as how you might be feeling right after the first session or any of the sessions. So again, here it's very it changes. It's very individualized. Baruch Hashem, in general, my clients do feel a beautiful shift, like I mentioned before, some of those qualities that they feel. However, some don't feel it right away. Some of my clients will say to me only after a few sessions, wow, this time there was that shift. And that big smile arises in my face and their face. Some people feel it right away, even after the first session. Some people don't even sense as much of a movement until after the series, maybe even after the series and we only got to the follow-up and maintenance. It has this beautiful, lasting, long-term, and it's many times created situations where people who have come to me with certain ailments, although I don't promise it because I'm not a healer, Hashem, God does all the healing. So I want to address the whole idea of being titled as a healer. And I find that quite a few people who are not familiar with the terminology of Emuna energy medicine, they will address me as being an energy healer. And I'd like to address that for just a moment because it's very important for me that I not be referred to as a healer, not in terms of mind, not in terms of being called that way, and I'll explain to you why. There's only one healer, and that healer is God. My job as a practitioner to help you as my client is to essentially enable the innate God-given healing energies that are given to each and every one of us through the compassionate, loving hand of Hashem, many times what happens is as we go through life, and like I said before, we transmit and receive different energies. Information is given and also transmitted out of us into the world. What many times we find is that the natural healing processes are impeded, they're slowed down, they're blocked. And so essentially these sessions will help unravel some of those messages that are not completely being transferred in your energy body. So it's almost like you want to go and travel on the path, and there's, let's say, a boulder in the middle of the way. And so the sessions will help in the sense of I come along and I explain to you where that boulder is. You know the pathway that you're already traveling on. And essentially I come and I just help you take that boulder out of the way so that you can continue on the path. I'm not really giving you anything that you don't already have. All I'm helping you do in this process of awareness and mindfulness is to be able to be in touch with those healing energies that for somehow or another, through various different God-given reasons, they've been slowed down, and God willing will be able to motivate and accelerate and essentially awaken that process for you. So I pray to be a good shaliach, I pray to be a good messenger, but God is the only healer. Like I said, in teaching or Emuna energy therapy to students around the world, in practicing it for so many clients around the world, I will say to you that we all do have our own self-healing processes. We know that our body is nurtured to want to heal. That's its natural tendency. It wants to heal. Okay, so essentially it's really important that the noun healer is not used, not in reference to in mind, and not, of course, in reference in terms of being called that. And in fact, being that this, or that the whole Or Emuna Energy Institute and the practices of the therapy and the learning programs that I teach students all around the world how to practice this all these beautiful energy healing techniques on their own through the Emuna perspective, being that it's all rabbinically approved and supervised by Rav Wozner, the idea is that we need to keep in mind that healing is something that's innate in every single one of us, that it will naturally surface as we go through the process of awareness, and that happens, throughout the process of the sessions. And so essentially, I'm not creating anything that hasn't already been there. I'm just helping and guiding the process along for this to become a self-discovering journey for you. So overall, it's really going to aid you to recognize your own beauty, to recognize your own purpose, to embrace and cherish your own presence in this life, and most of all, to fight for it, to stay with the program, right? To stay with the excitement of life, of your purpose in life, to putting things into practice. I teach Emuna all the time. The Daily Dose of Emuna is founded on Emuna teaching, Emuna healing. And the sessions themselves really bring it more into a personalized practice, practically, for you to be able to really embrace it personally into your life. And this whole journey really was born from the Emuna teachings and born from my own innate desire to want to heal from my own chronic autoimmune illness of multiple sclerosis. As I was searching, I was looking to heal emotionally, mentally, physically. This whole technique and practice became available for me. I experienced the transformation myself. My own shifts physically and emotionally have been very, very much so due to the shlichut, the process of this beautiful Or Emuna energy technique and practice. So, the whole idea of these sessions could, God willing, help people, help you, if it's in regards to marital peace or physical ailments, ADD, allergies, God forbid, cancer or other types of chronic diseases. Some people come to me and need help in regards to career directions and financial guidance. It really it can be very beneficial for an array of different issues that we're contending with. So I'd like to invite you. I'd like to invite you to learn more about it. Refer to the website in terms of referrals from past clients, from students, from fellow practitioners. You're welcome to contact me through email, emunahealenergy@gmail.com, and get to know the process. Certainly, if you need to ask me questions that I haven't already answered in this clip, feel free to text me and email me, and go through the process. It's a beautiful process. It enables you to really discover more about yourself, the enriching powers and energies and talents that God gave you. And what arises from the whole process is that you get to discover more of that innate beauty, and you can really get to realize and recognize that you can grow into the best version of yourself that God created you to be, that God thought you to be when He thought about creating you in this world. So I look forward to helping you, guiding you, mentoring you as much as I possibly can, God willing. And I'm wishing you much success, blessings, health, and happiness now and always.